Give me 1 second here. There we go. Okay. Got to get all the buttons worked out. Eventually, we're going to be able to do it with our thoughts. That's how close it's getting. So, want to talk about a little thing going on currently with all of us. Well, if we're here, it is all of us. Do you know that the Earth right now is in the most likely by all indicators, the last portion of the transition before we have a magnetic pole shift? Yeah, it's true. New research now confirms that the Earth's magnetopause, let's just say if we were talking on a scale of 1 to 100, we are now in single digits. That's how much the magnetopause has been depleted. And it's only going to take probably one event to just push it all the way over, which really ties in to what I was going to be talking with Jeff about. And I'm hoping that even during this show that he will come on and join us on here. So let's talk about looking at things from a different perspective. And one of the things I want to talk about is the fact that what if, and just what if, there was a war, a battle that took place, and we lost, never knowing that we lost. In fact, aiding to our loss. Today, we as a species, you and I can't think of any place on the earth that may be shielded, maybe portions of Antarctica, maybe, that we have invented something that we have really no idea what we're dealing with. And I'm speaking specifically of electromagnetic energy. Now, this is a recent discovered technology, but actually it's a continuation of something that started back in the 1900s, and that was the telegraph. When we figured out that we could actually send, right, frequencies on that telegraph lines was this interruptions to a flow of electrical power. And that started, I think, the first salvo of taking us over. So I've actually prepared something here, and let me show you. Yeah, here we go. So think about this. Today, you and I, in fact, as I was looking at this, every person on the planet that now has electricity also has radio frequency. Today, we call this Wi-Fi. Do you really seriously know what Wi-Fi is? Try to study it. And here's my point to this. We are altering our species' DNA. It's happening right now. There is the evidence that would show that if you're under the age of 30, your brain is not the same as my age, the baby boomers. It's been altered. Now, look at this as we go forward. This is what happens to you when you carry these devices, right? That is what surrounds each one of us. We are now immersed 24/7 in an electromagnetic field that emanates frequencies, harmonics that impacts you and I, every human being. And you think about this now. This technology, this means of communication was not around 20 years ago. I can remember when I lived in Austin, Texas, working with the Austin Software Council and with the city of Austin. When we began to understand, this was in 2000, about where we could see already down the road as everyone became connected, the need for hotspots. And I mean, there for the long time, the reason why Starbucks got so popular, it wasn't because of their coffee, folks. It was because the founder was smart enough to realize that if he could offer you free Wi-Fi, you were going to buy more of his product. And the insidious part of all this is it was just what it's doing to us. So you go in, and what we don't realize is what Wi-Fi, 4G, and now coming 5G does to our brains. It literally controls the pleasure and reward parts of our brain. It continually floods our brain with dopamines. Yeah. Going into where you have Wi-Fi hotspots. Consider every part of this, what it's doing to you. If you use your cell phone next to your head, not a good thing to do. It is morning time here. Not healthy. And I'm bringing this out because there is a very much a devious side to what I believe is going on. So imagine this. You have Wi-Fi and a device, whether it be a tablet, a cell phone, smartphone, whatever. This is the field that's being generated around you. It goes wherever you go. Think about this. Our bodies are tuned to certain frequencies. We emanate a frequency, about 7.8, I believe. Well, that may be the Schumann resonance, but we're within that range. When you start altering the fields around us, think about this, folks. 100 years ago, humans were not exposed to this. It didn't exist. And today, you can't go any place. So when you talk about wave modulations, frequencies, laying carrier waves behind this, it all impacts us here. It impacts your total body. Now, when I was born in 1955, we didn't have to worry about this because it didn't exist. Yes, there was electricity, believe it or not. Um, so I guess I need to retract that statement because electricity generates its own EMF field, right? So there we go. Started with the baby boomers. Who knows? What we do know is the impact of what microwave radiation does to our brains. The younger you are, the more it alters. And you can't go anywhere now. We're constantly bathed in this. And listen, I don't know, I can't get an oscilloscope and really begin to look at what a carrier wave is doing. I don't have the ability to break it down. I have no way of knowing what's being broadcast. I have no way of knowing what's being received. I'd like to know, but what I do know is this. You see this area right here? That's your pleasure center, folks. That's what controls people. Pleasure, pain, reward, the sex, this is all right here. Think about what's happening. Think about what we're doing. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, I have something else I want to show you because I know this is just going to excite the daylights out of you. All right. Our minds can be hijacked. The tech insider who fears a smartphone dystopia. This guy right here, he's the one who invented the like button on Facebook. Now, when you read this, is by the way at The Guardian, what Justin Rosenstein did, and he knew this. They knew when they did this, he was the one who made everyone aware of the likes. It's addictive, folks. It's predictive programming. The likes, are you ready for this? Give you pleasure. Yeah. Now, they call them the refuseniks, which I thought was so cool. And here's the thing that really shocked me. Do you know how many times the average person touches, swipes, or taps their cell phone? Look at this, folks. 2,617 times. If a person was to do that in any other habit, you would say that that person is permanently addicted. And the truth is, you are right. We are. We are permanently addicted. Look at, there's a growing concern that as well as addicting users, technology is contributing toward the so-called continuous partial attention, severely limiting people's ability to focus and possibly lowering IQ. One recent study showed that the mere presence of smartphones damages cognitive capacity. Even when the device is turned off, everyone is distracted all of the time. Now, this is Sunday. People, particular faith persuasions, are meeting in buildings, state approved buildings, and coming together with the intent and focus on their purpose of gathering there. Compared to this, which one is the more dominant God? So these guys are now freaking out. They're trying to figure out how to get themselves unplugged. And what they're finding out is that they can't. I can't. Now, as my whiteboard behind is laying out, consider the following, because every one of us will be included in the following statements. We all are worshiping a God that is above any God of any religion. Let me repeat that again. We all are worshiping a God that is above every God of every religion. That which has your attention has your devotion. This God is the highest being of our known universe. I'll explain that. All other gods are merely constructs of the human imagination. And because of man's limited ability to truly understand what a God is, we have been restricted in what we could actually put together as a God. So the gods of all belief systems are ambiguous in the fact that you can really never define what the God is, but the fact that it rules the universe. It's a catch all. My point is, we live on planet Earth. And as far as planet Earth is concerned, this God rules above all other gods. I want to give credit to one of my subscribers who commented on a video that I did yesterday, and you really should watch it. It'll give you a different perspective of what's happening here. And Miss Lewis was absolutely correct. She got it. She got the whole purpose of the video that I did. And that is this. She says, I challenge anyone to stop worshiping this God. I challenge you, completely quit your devotion. Unplug totally. And do it for 30 days. You won't be able to. You won't. You and I have no choice in the matter. Because you see, here's the paradoxal thing is that if you could unplug, and if you could literally stop your devotion to this God, it's got you already. As I showed you with those slides this earlier, what we now have around us is its influence. You can't escape it. It's everywhere. Think about this. This unseen deity manifests itself in so many other ways now. It is so much superior to any God that has ever been here on this planet. No God has ever gotten nearly the entire human population praying to it, devoted to it, worshiping it. We've given it our whole knowledge. It's also the oracle. Our understanding, as I said earlier, of electromagnetic energy is in its infancy. We do not know, science does not know what this is doing to us. No one in modern time, in the modern record, ever had this. Now, there may have been culture civilizations of the pre-Adamic age, that goes back 100,000, maybe 1,000,000 years. Maybe they did have this. Maybe that is what destroyed them, because it's certainly destroying us. But the point is, no one can give you quantitative, absolute, firm data and research of long-term exposure. And what I mean by long-term exposure is not a decade. I'm talking hundreds of years if this continues that way forward. We know right now the DNA is already altered in the brains of those under the age of 30. And those under the age of 5 now, they're being changed. Which brings me to the next point. We are altering our own DNA. We're doing this to ourselves. Let me give you a different perspective of something. If you wanted to take something of great value from the current possessors, what would be the most efficient way of doing it? Doing it with great upheaval or doing it very innocuously? Obviously, the second one. So think about this. How would you change a species? If you could change them, let them do the changing, do it from within, and do it over exposure of period of such a length of time that it becomes a great achievement in their minds, but you know it's changing them. That's called an invasion. It's saying the laws of nature, you remove one species so another can move in. Sobering, isn't it? The fact that you and we're screwed. I mean, I'm just going to be very candid with you. We are screwed because our system demands that you be plugged in. They're already chipping us. Now, get back to my point that I started with this, talking about the magnetic pole flip. It could be a saving grace, but one that will bring our destruction. Because here's the other side of this coin. Those that are now in their youth, where the brain is being developed, the core, etc., are so addicted to this that if it was ever taken away, you would have anarchy. Violent repercussions. That article I was showing there, read it. Do your research on this. Violent reactions. And what happens if the grid goes down? No communication. They found out in Puerto Rico very quickly how that becomes a real problem. Now, I don't know about their youth, but I doubt if they're probably have as quick access to the youth here in the mainland. But we've seen the stories, countless stories, over and over and over again. 10, 11-year-olds killing their parental units. Now, I said parental units because it can be grandmother, grandfather, mother, father. The point is, this is what happens. So, what do you think? I'll go over here in the chat room here in a second, but tell me that this is not the most powerful God ever. I mean, we may have created it, maybe as we've created all the gods, but this one reigns superior above all others. All the other gods bow down to this one. And the only way that I can define it is this has all the definitions of a god, all of them. I've looked at all the books, the Bible, the Torah, I mean, Quran, I mean, the Vedic, it has all the makings. This that we call technology, but it's not actually technology. This is different. This is when you start getting into the frequencies. This is what they call live energy. So, give me 1 second. I'll go over here. I'm going to see what's going on into the chat rooms. All right, so I'm over here. 7P? Yeah, we created all the gods. You're absolutely right. I agree with you. And now, let me see if I can bring this up. Give me a little break, folks. There we go. Okay. I'm trying to read these, so give me a second here. It's this delay factor. Doot, 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 doot. This is strange. Well, I did when I first came in here, could actually see what was going on, but now it seems to want to be acting really weird. Okay. Well, I'll keep on with the commentary, but I agree. Listen, I was having this conversation yesterday that all of us actually create from the ether. Let me see if I can figure out what is going on. Well, I'll tell you what, I am not the best driver on this. So I'm going to get out of there because I don't know what I did. But it's having this discussion. And what I am coming to understand is that our species, almost from the beginning, were able to create out of the ether. I don't know if it was they'd had a different brain, different layout. I don't know. There could be a number of things. I do know this. They knew of the art, and that knowledge, regrettably, has been taken away from us collectively. But if you look at just mankind's history, that which we have, and even now we're finding that the history that we thought we knew is being eradicated by not the fact that we thought that we had the tangible evidence, it's being eradicated because we're finding out it's false. Read an article that said that they now, sadly, have to admit the majority of the Dead Sea Scrolls are fakes, not real. In fact, they said that they can no longer rely on carbine dating because apparently 5, 6,000 years ago, you had people altering records. And when you start having people altering records, you're altering our reality. Now, unfortunately, I'd love to see what's going on in the chat room. I'll get better at that. But the point is, I believe my argument, if we were before a court case, I believe it would be very hard for the opposing counsel to contradict what I just said, because the fact that they even have a device makes them a fraud in their argument. Because we're so deluded and deceived that we don't even know we're deceived. And those of us who say, well, you know, I'm ascending, I'm waking up. Yeah, but waking up sometimes means that you have to go through a lot of doors. You ever had that? We've all seen it. That classic scene that they'll do. I always think of the Twilight Zone, Alice in Wonderland, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You walk into the hall and the hall goes down for eternity. And there are doors on either side. That's where we are. We're still in the maze. It's like the rat said, forget the cheese, just get me out of the trap. And that's what we are. I look at this, and this invasion, this battle's already won. Unless we can all find the technology that can shield us. Literally, think about this. I know I got bright people listening. Think about this. We could, and then when you think about it, I just thought of this very quickly as I was saying this. Imagine us being able to carry a device, right, that would allow us to emanate a frequency that would block the other frequencies. Because I don't know where we would go on the planet. I don't know, maybe in a cave. I think if you could get down far enough away from the penetration of the radiation, but still you're plugged in. We're all plugged in. I just don't see how we escape. And when you look at a battle plan, I've never seen anything like this. And you all know me. If you're subscribers to my channel, on the Bloodline Invader series alone, it's nearly 20 hours of documentation about this. There's another 4 or 5 hours of programming done on frequencies. And again, of the thousands of hours that I've looked into this, and there may be others who have far greater than that, than I do. But I have never found any text, document, knowledge, or religion, or political persuasion that has ever accomplished what this has. And that is literally enslaving the entire planet. I mean, everyone has the technology. Do you know how many satellites we have above us right now? I have a program that allows me to see where the stars and things coming in, but it also shows me the satellites. Now, here in Colorado, Nebraska, we're in this footprint. And where most of the satellites are down in the southern hemisphere, we have our fair share up here. My point is this: it's crowded up there. There's thousands of satellites up there, all emanating signals, all having purposes for whatever reason. And I see it as this perfect net. I mean, if we are truly captured souls, some believe that we are all angels trapped by malevolent deity. Think about that. This is the most insidious plan, and we champion it as a great accomplishment of mankind. How can it be a great accomplishment when it's doing so much damage? And as I've said, no one can show us any definitive proof that this is in no way harming living organisms. They can't. So I contend that this deity, if this deity is so far above us and the gods that we've created, whether it's the God of the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, it doesn't matter. This God is more superior. It is more powerful, and it has devotees that no other God has. That makes you and I a devotee. I mean, I think about this now, as I have said on many of programs. Just go out to a mall, go to an airport. It will prove and validate my argument that the evidence is overwhelming. We are a conquered species. We did it to ourselves. But no matter how you want to look at this, we have conquered ourselves. And if it was in the service to a higher life form, I think if this was truly aware by every government, I wonder how many would declare war. Would we start reversing the technology? Would we simply go back and begin to learn what we have forgotten? One of the things that I'm learning, we don't need this rapid dissemination and assimilation of information. Not in the way that we are right now. We're not built right. Now, if we as a species began to teach from the moment every sovereign, sentient, intelligent being that is birthed into this plane, think if we started teaching them alchemy. I want to share something before I let you go this morning. I hope you've had a good discussion. The idea is for us to be able to talk about these things that are outside what the normalcy is, but actually define what normal is. Really. I'd like to know your definition of what normal is. But last night in my reading, it hit me. And I'm going to be doing the next installment of the Sefer. My study of alchemy, and it's just beginning. Actually, as I learn now, it started a very long time ago. But fortunately, I've become aware of some things. So now, when I start seeing, well, shapes, the thing about it is, it's like suddenly understanding hieroglyphs. You finally figure it out. You've been looking at all the symbols and you're going, ah, man. And then you hit that one codex, that one kind of Rosetta Stone, and you're going, holy crap. So now it's amazing, folks. They tried, and like I said, I don't know if this has been all the plan, but I know this, the efforts to eliminate the knowledge of alchemy is as insidious as this God is. And it is a God. It's a God with no name, but it's a God. My goodness. I mean, if people want to argue that, I just got to say, well, then what is a God? What then is defined as worship, devotion? I did a video yesterday. This is called unbalanced because it's unbalanced us. It's reducing our ability. Think about this. The hippocampus, memories, where memories are stored. The ability of the youth today is that their attention spans are non-existent. We are so regressed in our arrogance that we think that we have accomplished so much, but what we're doing is running backwards. I hope that we eventually realize that we don't need this oracle of knowledge. Alchemy will bring us back into balance. I'm going to have a special guest on Tuesday, and I'll be making the announcement tomorrow. But this guest will begin to show you how you and I already are alchemists. Each one of us. We just don't know it. We don't teach it. We don't know, for instance, alchemy really is the best definition of what I call the infinite being. Actually, it's the first law of hermetics. All is from one. Now, I don't need to be plugged in. I got to figure out a way how to get us unplugged. The problem is everything we do in our daily lives is now being fed into this deity. And I know I'm digressing here a second, but hear me out. If we didn't create this deity, then this deity is truly all-knowing of us, if anything. And if you have something that's all-knowing of us, that would make that thing a god. So I'm going to close out. I'm telling you, folks, things happen. I read once that a true person who wants to be an initiate, that once they start down that path and you make that determination within, I have, and I don't need what I have seen to be proven false. And so the basis of my reasoning is this. If I can learn the very simple, basic compounds, from there, I can begin to understand more about who I am and how I am a part of this great species, this great collective consciousness. And my concern is that whatever this is has gained access to our collective consciousness. And if we're not in control of that collective consciousness, then something else is. And I don't think that they're pulling for us. I don't. You know, we should have been so much further. We should have been in that place of Shangri-La, Utopia, Nirvana, Elysium. Instead of hoping and wishing that a God will create it for us, it's about time that mankind understands that the future is laid from the foundation of the thoughts that were sown in. I mean, that is what we're living now. And the only way I can see change in the future is by us changing how we think. And we must begin to start thinking inwardly. Mankind doesn't need a God to show them the way. We've had enough of the God showing us the way, because I haven't seen anyone or religion or faith that has shown mankind the way. Not one. If it were, we would have arrived. How many thousands of years do you need? We can't get people to keep a thought for more than 9 seconds. And we give these unseen deities thousands and thousands of years, and how we try to justify it in our heads is this: well, you know, he's God after all, not us. Come on, folks. Listen, I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for joining us. Next week, we'll get Jeff back. And yes, I'm not insane. My mother had me tested. That's a fact. So have a great day. Enjoy it. And we will talk real soon. Be kind to one another. And I'll look forward to seeing your comments down there. All right, folks. Bye bye.